Hey, what's up everyone? So I have quite an interesting topic for you this week because we are going to talk about the different ways that you can voluntarily crash your iOS app. So why would you want to crash your iOS app? Of course, crashing your app is something that we want to avoid as much as possible. But there are situations where, well, there is a programming error in our code and our code reaches a point where it cannot recover from this error. And at this point, well, the only thing left that we can do is to crash our app and leave a message indicating, well, why the app has been crashed. So there are actually three functions in iOS to voluntarily crash your app. So you've actually seen their names in the miniature. So we have assert, we have precondition, and we have fatal error. And the reason I wanted to do this video is because most of the time we are aware that this function exists. You know, we've seen them, well, either in placeholder code generated by Xcode, or maybe we've seen them in examples from Apple or in code bases, but we might not be exactly sure what are the actual differences between these three functions, because these three functions, they have subtle but important differences in their behaviors. And so in this video, we are going to see how these three functions work and how we can use them to our advantage in our iOS apps. Okay, so let me begin by setting up some context. I said that I want to deal with cases where a programming error, an unrecoverable programming error, has been made. And so this is the kind of function where such an error could happen. As you can see in this function, I am taking a URL as an argument, but I take this URL as a string. So we could say that it's a string that has not yet been parsed as a type-safe URL. And well, this is something that is very familiar in our app because at some point we are going to have to use a string in order, well, to write a URL, but we need to always keep in mind that there could be a mistake in the string. The URL could be malformed and well, it's just as easy as having an extra white space at the end of the string, or the string could actually contain something that is not a URL. But what should we do at runtime if parsing this string URL into an actual URL fails? Well, this is exactly what we are going to see now. So as you can see, I have added some code inside my function. First, I have added here a guard statement. In this guard statement, what I'm doing is that I am taking my string URL, I am attempting to parse it in order to have an actual URL, and well, if the parsing fails, I just return, and if the parsing succeeds, well, I use my URL. So in a real app, I would most certainly make a network call. Here, I'm just going to print the URL to the console. And so the question is, well, in the case where the parsing has failed, what should I do in order to convey the error to the developer? And so the first option that we have is to use the function assert or its alternative called assertion failure. So let me paste in the code. So as you can see, assertion failure is a global function. And when you call it, well, you pass in a string that indicates to the developer, well, the reason why an assertion has failed. And in order to see what assertion failure is actually going to do when it is called, well, I'm going to paste in some more codes. As you can see, I have added a new function called run. So this function is going to be called as soon as my app is started. And as you can see, inside this function, I am calling make network call, and I am passing in a string that contains a voluntarily malformed URL because as you can see, I have added an extra white space at the end of the string. And this extra white space is going to make it that parsing the string into an actual URL is going to fail. And so assertion failure is going to be called. So let me start my app and we're going to see, well, just what happens. And so as you can see, calling assertion failure, well, it triggers a crash. I get an output in the console that lets me know that assertion failure was called, and I get the message that I passed as an argument. So this can be super useful if I am in a big project, well, to understand what went wrong. And keep in mind that in this string, I could have injected value in order to have, well, some dynamic information about why the crash happened. And also, as you can see on the left panel, so assertion failure has indeed crashed my app, but it crashed it in a debuggable state, meaning that as you can see, I have the call stack here available, I have my variables in the debugger, and so I am in a state where I could debug my app and well understand what went wrong. Okay, so I've closed everything and let's get back to the topic. So what we've seen is that when we call assertion failure, well, our app is crashed. But it's actually more subtle than this. And so let me paste in the actual behavior of assertion failure. So as you can see, assertion failure, it will trigger a crash, but only when you are building for debug. So whenever you are running your app on a device or on the simulator from Xcode, or when you are running your test. But on the other hand, when you are building for release, and that's for instance when you are shipping your app to the App Store, well, in those builds, the assertion failure is actually not going to trigger a crash. It will just be, we could say, a silent fail. And while this behavior might seem a little weird at first glance, it's actually extremely useful because assertion failure, well, it's a tool that is going to allow us when we are working on our app, so when we are in debug, if the assertion failure is triggered, our app will crash, and so we will be made aware very early on that there is a problem. But if for some reason, well, we haven't noticed the problem in our development phase and the problem happens in release mode, well, assertion failure is not going to do anything. So assertion failure, I would say, it's a function you want to use if there is a mistake that you want to be able to catch in your code when you are working on your app, but you are okay with the issue happening in production. Meaning that, well, here, for instance, if the URL is badly formed, well, your app is not going to do anything when this function is being called. So it might mean that, for instance, a page of your app is not going to load. But if you are okay with this happening in production, and well, if you would rather have this happen than your app crashing, then you want to use assertion failure in order to report that the issue here of a badly formed URL has happened. And just before we move on to the next function, I want to show you what we could call an alternative call site for assertion failure, and it's the function called assert. So as you can see, the logic is quite the same, except that when we call assertion failure, it's that we know that the failure has already happened, but with assert, we have the possibility to pass in a test as the first argument, and assert will actually work just like assertion failure, but it will only crash your app, well, when the test fails, and also only when you are in debug. Okay, so we have covered the first function, assertion failure and assert. So let me clean my code, and now we can move on to the second function called precondition failure. So let me paste in the code to call this function. So as you can see, this function is very similar to assertion failure, but there is one subtle difference. And that difference is actually already manifesting in our code because we can see that we now have a warning on our return keyword. And so the content of the warning is not appearing in full because it's being cropped on my screen, but what it says is will never be executed. And as you can imagine, it's the consequence of how precondition failure works. And so precondition failure, it works exactly like assertion failure with one difference, which is that precondition failure is going to trigger a crash whether we build for debug or for release. And that's the reason why the return keyword is no longer useful. Since precondition failure is always going to crash, it's never going to return, and so the return keyword that is below the call site is actually never going to be reached. So I'm going to remove it. And if you are interested as why the compiler is aware that precondition failure is never going to return, well, let me just show you here what is the return type of the function. As you can see, the return type is never, so I'm not going to go more in detail about this topic, but you have the link to a video that I've already made dedicated to explaining what never is that is appearing somewhere in the screen. And so if you've never heard about never, I really encourage you to check this video. It should interest you. So I've just told you that precondition failure is always going to trigger a crash when called. Well, actually, it's not entirely true. There is one subtle situation where precondition failure would not trigger a crash, but it's very, very uncommon. And basically, here is the recap. So precondition failure is going to trigger a crash when building either for debug or for release. And the only situation where it won't trigger a crash is if you use the compile time option -o unchecked. And basically what this option does is that it disables any kind of runtime check of your code. Now, personally, I've never had to use this option. I think you will probably never have to use it too. Maybe the kind of use cases where it could be useful is if you build a very low level module, for instance, and you want it to run as fast as possible. But for an iOS app, I have never had to use this option. So we can consider that precondition failure will always trigger a crash. And by the way, if you ever use this option, of course, it's going to silence the crash of precondition failure, but silencing this crash is going to result in your app running in an undefined state. So it's something that you definitely do not want, and it's something that is actually way worse than crashing, because undefined state, it means that your app is in a state where it could do just anything, including making bad network calls, corrupting data, anything of that sort. And of course, just like with assertion failure, there is an alternative syntax for precondition failure. And so as you can see, the logic here is the same than with assert. We pass in a test, and when that test fails, well, precondition is going to act just like precondition failure, meaning that the app will be crashed and this message will be printed in the console. And finally, let's talk about the final of the three functions, so fatal error. So here is a possible use case for fatal error. And as you can see, fatal error, it behaves, well, very similarly to precondition failure, except that fatal error is guaranteed to always trigger a crash. There is actually no way to prevent fatal error from triggering a crash. So fatal error is actually extremely similar to precondition failure. The only difference is that whereas for precondition failure, there was the alternative syntax precondition that would take a test and an error message, for fatal error, you do not have this alternative. You only have the method that you call, and when you call it, well, your app is crashed and the message gets printed to the console. And that's it. We have covered the three functions that you can call in Swift in order to voluntarily crash your program. But before we move on to the recap, I have a little bonus for you. I want to show you another possible use case that we can have for either precondition failure or fatal error. So let's imagine that I am declaring the following function. So it's a function that is going to compute something and return it. Here the function is returning an integer. So let me finish the body of the function. And well, let's imagine that I want to implement this function later. So I don't want to implement it immediately, I want to implement it later. But I still want my project to build, and I want to be able to call the function compute something in my code. Basically because, well, I want to work on another part of my code, and I will come back later to implementing compute something. So this could be an issue if I leave the function as it is, because as you can see, for the moment, well, my function does not build. So how could I make it build? Well, if we remember, one of the interesting properties of either precondition failure or fatal error is that this function never returns. And so the compiler knows that after calling one of these functions, well, the program is going to be stopped. And we can use this property, well, in order to use either precondition failure or fatal error as a placeholder in our code. And the way this works is just the following one. I just have to call either fatal error or precondition failure inside my function. And well, since this function is going to trigger a crash, the compiler knows that the execution is never going to go further than this line. And so the compiler does not care if I do not have a return value for the function. And what's super nice is that, of course, if I call this function in its current state, I will have a crash. But for the compiler, the function is still correctly implemented. And so in other parts of my code, as you can see, I can perfectly call the function and the code is still going to build. Now, of course, if I run the code, it will crash, but the important part is that the code is still building. And so that's the reason why either fatal error or precondition failure can be used as a placeholder for a function that is yet to be implemented. And Xcode is actually already using this property of the functions, because you might have seen that whenever you have a default implementation for a function like the init for a type that conforms to NS coding, well, the default body of the init is actually a call to either precondition failure or fatal error. I'm not sure which of the two Xcode actually uses. And this time is the end of the video. So what have we seen in this video? We've seen that in Swift, if you want to voluntarily crash your program, for instance, because there has been a programming error in your code, you have three functions that you can use to do it. First, you can use either assertion failure or assert, and this function is going to crash, but only crash in debug builds. Then you have precondition failure or precondition, which will crash either in debug or in release, but there is still a way to disable the crashes if you build in unchecked mode. And finally, we have fatal error, and this one is guaranteed to always crash your program. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. As always, if you have anything to say about the content of the video, please say it in the comments. For instance, well, if you know other creative use cases to use fatal error or precondition failure, for instance, please let me know. I would love to know them. If you've enjoyed the video, as always, you can share it with your colleagues. And as always, thank you for watching the video and see you next time.